Hello everybody, let's exit to port. At the time of recording, it is currently 12:40 on the 21st of October, 2025. It's slowly but surely getting colder here in northern Norway, and that's why the episode, even before we started recording, already had a name. Our last episode was called The One Where It Started Snowing, and this one's called The One Where It Kept Snowing, because as of Friday, when I came home with my newly purchased car, it had kept snowing, and it has since then just kept on snowing. We're not talking massive amounts yet, but I do foresee a future of a lot of snow clearing. Someone who hasn't had to do a lot of snow clearing over the last few years, Mr. Grumbles the Dwarf.
Hello. Indeed. It doesn't really snow, proper snow over here. If it does a little bit, then it usually melts within a day or so.
Which is strange to me, considering how big of a Winter Olympics nation Germany used to be. Like, we're talking ski jumping, biathlon, cross country, like all of the kind of classical Winter Olympics. Like, the only thing that the Germans didn't really do well in the Winter Olympics was downhill. Not sure why. Not sure why. Italians big on that though, and the French. It's as if somewhere that has a lot of snow and mountains does well in those. Anyway,
yeah.
Let's dive right in, because as people who are, for those of you, hello brain, for those of you watching on YouTube, you will probably see in the middle of the screen that there's a lot of text going on. And I want to say, first and foremost, thank you to all of our patrons who have commented and left questions and comments and everything for us. Love it. Thank you so much for that. It is very, very much appreciated. And if you want to be part of the people that keep helping us with that, and you want to ensure that you get your comment or question in, you can go to patreon.com/exit2port. That's patreon.com/exit2port, and $2 a month or similar to support us. We only have that one tier for now, and I kinda want to do a tiny bit of a Christmas special for our patrons alone. Maybe put it out for like a one-time purchase or something for others too, but you know, just to give them something extra as a thank you for supporting us as they do. And we're just gonna get started checking things off our list here, because it's a long list. You have recently tried Arc Raiders.
Yes.
And for those who don't know, Arc Raiders is a PvP PvE, or PvE PvP, all depending on how you see it, game extraction shooter. If you're not familiar with what an extraction shooter is, you go into a hostile environment, you defeat enemies, you pick up loot, and then you try to get to a safe extraction. Some of you might be familiar with the likes of Tarkov, or others might be familiar with the Dark Zone from The Division. There are other games out there like that, but those are the first two that come to the top of my mind. So, talk to me about Arc Raiders.
So, first up, it's not like an extraction game isn't something I would normally lean into or dabble in. It's not something.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but yeah, this is interesting too. Let's hear some Grumbles lore.
Yeah, well, it starts as so many of these things do with one of our friends badgering me into having a look at it. So thanks, Grumpy. And when I did, I kind of looked and I liked the art style and everything. I liked the idea of the kind of the loose story and everything with it. And people have described it. I don't have knowledge of that game, but I know you do as like Generation Zero, but as an extractor kind of thing. It's because you're fighting drones and robots and things all the time. And it's basically this mix of PvE and PvP. I'm hoping that at some point they'll bring in PvE only mode, because that would be far preferable for me personally. But yeah, I just sort of saw the ambience and design and everything of this, and it has the tag of being from former DICE people that did the original, or maybe it's still called DICE, I'm not sure. I did the original Battlefield stuff. So people, with a good reputation for knowing how to make these kind of shooter games look and feel. Yeah, it's a third-person shooter, no first-person mode at this point. Yeah, I played it. It was very smooth. I would say for me personally, I'd have to play it in a squad. You get up to 3 people together. So if you're in comms and you're in a squad that's like, having fun together and not too try-hardy, I think you can have a good laugh with the game. But I tried playing it a couple of times on my own just to sort of feel how it was. And, unsurprisingly, actually, it was the bots that were more annoying than the people, because the bots were pretty strong in the playtest. And it was like, I get myself wiped out pretty quickly. But essentially what you do is, contrary to things like the chaos of like Battlefield and that, I know it's a different kind of game, but there's some similarities in feel. Is it's more about sneaking around, being a bit more tactical about how to get to locations or avoid certain locations and enemies and things. And then you just go in, get as much loot as you can, and get the heck out of Dodge. Go to these elevator systems, trigger their, sort of call them in. And there's some kind of central control office that's piping these elevators mysteriously through. Wait for the doors to open, get out, try and fend off the bots that come at you and any players trying to get through, and sort of snipe your loot at the end of the round kind of thing. Yeah, and when it works, it's good fun. It's very atmospheric. It's visually and acoustically very pleasing. Very smooth in terms of animations and the behavior of the game. On my kind of moderate rig was smooth as well. Yeah, just all round, I think they've done a very, very good job.
Yeah, so I've always wanted an extraction style game that is PvE focused.
Yeah.
Because in any situation for me where like there is high risk elements and there's people involved, they tend to turn into absolute donkeys.
Yeah.
And I meant to use a different word, but I censored myself. So and that turns things toxic. It turns things way too competitive, which is why, like, and to bring up another game we've played quite a bit, Dune. I would love to see the deep desert with the giant spice fields and such. Like, give me that, but with only worms, but don't make them as annoying as they are in the Haga Basin. But like, give me other things that can happen. Give me raiders that can come in and stuff.
Yeah,
because it's just looking at Dune with some of the people that were on the same server cluster as us. There was some very very intense PvP people going on that just completely ruined the thought of me even going in there. I really wanted to, but knowing that there's someone waiting only to jump in and screw up your day, to make your game be bleh. Like I don't find it fun. I struggle enough with the PvE part of it, and like you say, the bots in Arc Raiders, because I sat there, I watched Cole, I've watched a few others play it, and they say that the bots are absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. Yep.
And
But they are. Whether it's the little drones, they can be nasty enough because they usually, you get into one fight and they start calling in reinforcements and things, and before you know it, you're swarmed even by smaller ones. And then if there's like big rocket drones, and then there's these walkers and things. I don't know all the names, but because I didn't have that many hours in it. But yeah, you're like, this goes from like to like run. Oh, we're dead. Like, and the good thing is, like, joking aside, you can plot and plan your way around. You can wait, like hide in the bushes and stuff, and they might not see you if you're not making any noise, that kind of thing. But just knowing, like, as you're going around, like looting things, they're doing what they call a breach. So using a crowbar to open up a box or a locker or something makes lots of noise, unless you put lots of skill points into that kind of thing. And it's just that constant threat and fear of like something or someone's going to catch up to you. Yeah, very good.
Like I just really want that. I think it was Delta Force had an extraction style shooter, which was PvE, PvP. And again, it was the players that made it toxic and not fun to play.
Yeah.
And like I just want something like that where the gameplay, like the map, is big enough, like for all intents and purposes, like have multiple people on the map, but have them be like, okay, we can choose to help them out in the fight that they've gotten themselves into, or we can wait and see, will they win or will they get stomped by the bots, and we can try to snipe the loot that way, so that when the bots are about to take them, we jump on in and just do it that way. There are multiple ways you can have multiple people on the same map without letting it be a toxic space. But I absolutely love the idea of this whole, like, the world that these devs have built, and looking at the style of it, it does look fabulously cool. It's just people ruin everything, man. Heckin' people.
Yeah, dang it, people.
Yeah. Is this something you're going to be picking up permanently, or is it kind of like, oh, this was a fun experience?
More the latter for me at the moment, because there is the people side of it, and I don't want to like build up to the point where I start enjoying it and then stop enjoying it. For the reasons you kind of allude to. And it's not really. So the thing for me is, if it was like you, me, and Grumpy as an example, if you're in a squad and you can kind of rely on each other, but also to have fun and not totally just play the game, then I think I would play it. But I would probably play it for like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 hours, and then I'd be like, okay, that was fun. Now I'll do something else, because it's fun, but it's there's other things that I often want to do in games that it's not that kind of game. It's not my core kind of game. But I would definitely play it from time to time. I think I'll wait for a sale, although I will say as well, it's less than $40, and that's good, because a lot of games with a lot of hype and things around them at the moment are double that. So it's one of those. I always hold off. I want to hold off on that kind of game, because I'm not going to log in and play it myself very much. It's just not, I'm not that kind of into that solo experience. But if I had friends that were playing it like all the time, I'd be quite sorely tempted if I knew that there was going to be a spot there to play it, ad hoc.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And regarding game prices, we're looking at you, Battlefield. Although I'm fully tempted to spend that full amount. I won't lie. I will not lie. But on to another game that shares robots as enemies, and they can be quite tough, but is fully PvE and no PvP. Jump Space. I recently played this together with Mari, Dante, and Jurek, and it's a lot of fun. Like, they're still in development. They don't hide that. They don't shy away from it. So it's very much early access. But listening to them, what they have planned, and what they've already made, like how it plays, how it, like how the characters sound, and the thoughts behind everything. This is a cool game, man. This works. This and it has certain maps where you need to extract. There are certain maps that are more focused on doing more space combat. There are like, they have a lot of variety, and there's only going to be more coming forward. There's going to be different ship types. There's going to be new weapon types, and so on and so forth. So they have a really cool idea, but it's one of those games where you can play it solo, but I really need more friends to play it with, because it's one of those where I really think I could fully enjoy it and play it as like an offline thing. But I need that group of people with me to play together with, because it's not necessarily just a jump on, jump off kind of thing, because you need to plan for mission chains and such, so that you can finish them. And but it is very nice. It runs really smoothly, and the art style is real cool. So there's another thing that can happen is you can sit on chairs. And this sounds weird, but the fact that they have a wide variety of ways of sitting on the chairs for your characters. Like, when your characters sit down, they don't all look the same. Some will slouch, and sometimes they'll sit up straight and look kind of prudish, and sometimes they'll be fully laid back, hands behind their head, feet stretched out, and just kind of being super relaxing, looking like they're soaking up the sun and stuff. And they have some really cool ideas and movement systems, and it's fully based on people kind of being aware of what is their role on the ship, and when they go to do things, and so on, and it's really nice. It's really nice. I will fully recommend it, and it's not that pricey right now either. So yeah, Jump Space. It has my full recommendation. Speaking of other games that have had updates, or will have more updates, curiously enough, what's up with Space Engineers? Why are they still updating? What's going on?
Yeah, I think that's what everybody asks every year for the last 10, 12 years. They are they're moving forward still with their Space Engineers 2, their follow-up game, which has got quite a bit of derision around that from the community, and the more knowledgeable and experienced ones, because it kind of should be maybe a little bit more ahead of where it is already. But anyway, that to one side, they're working on that. But in parallel, they're still doing updates, and most notably, of late, they've done the Apex Survival update, where they've brought in food mechanics previously unavailable in an unofficial mod, and like health buffs, actual buffs that you get from having the food and surviving. The longer you survive with your character without respawning, the more buffs you get. Weld faster, higher health pool, all these kinds of things. They've introduced farming, water irrigation system, seeds and growing mechanics and stuff, algae farms, it's, let's say, simple but effective, and quite likely to get a little bit of improvement, I think, in the next minor updates, little tweaks and things and feedback they've had from the community. But overall, it works. And it makes me, I wasn't sure about it at first. I was like, oh, this is so different to what the Space Engineers is generally all about, like what people are familiar with. But the way they've done it is you can turn it all on and off anyway, just in the settings. There's like radiation from like nuclear reactors and stuff like that. And if they're leaking, damaged, even from your own ship, you can have that. And there's also solar radiation you can turn on and off. The way they've done it, it just works. And kind of kudos to them. Like it's fairly straightforward, but just functions, and it kind of puts a framework in place that they can, I think, easily build from. And it's just you don't have to play with it, obviously, but it's just taken it to the next level and made Space Engineers into more than just a build craft, blow stuff up thing, into you can actually make more survival stories and more. We were doing this already in our Rift playthrough, but we were doing it using some food mods and everything. And now you can just do that from the base game, which is pretty awesome.
So how does this change the Gromos the Dwarf RP narrative of, oh, I gotta try this, oh, we need this as a season? Like what has changed when it comes to Gromos the Dwarf and Space Engineers with this update? Like where's the next RP adventure going in your brain right now?
Yeah, so it was rather unfortunately in some ways it's dropped in the middle of one of my mini series anyway, running with Flawless with Bobby, where we didn't have all of that stuff when I started. So I'm kind of reluctant to just randomly introduce it in the middle of that story. So for now, I'm carrying that on without that and just, assuming that he's getting his sustenance off camera kind of thing. But for next level ones, it'll really ramp it up a little bit, because you'll have to, I'll probably almost certainly choose to play with that on. And it puts an additional time pressure on you at the beginning for sure. In that, you'll start with, even if you put it on fairly gentle settings, you're still going to start in a position of like hostile environment, depending on which, planet or setting you start with. But most of the environments have various levels of difficulty, from nothing growing, no atmosphere, as an example, where you'd have to use algae farms and so forth, to an Earth-like, where it's more, and you can do things like turning wolves and things on to up the challenge a certain element. Although the AI, I've just played with that recently on my Saturday Survival series, and the AI is pretty woeful. It's just like spawns a wolf in that runs at you from 600 meters away, and you just get a turret up and shoot them, and then you got free meal. So it's it almost makes it too easy, because at the very beginning, it's a little bit awkward because you have a little pistol and they just shock you and appear at night and stuff all the time. But once you get yourself set up with a couple of guns and that in place, you're like, okay, now I've just basically got wolves coming and doing a Deliveroo kind of HelloFresh kind of service to my base. It's great. But yeah, this is what it does is it allows you to role play those survival aspects, like food, like getting better over time, and really puts an emphasis on wanting to survive, even for people that are not really role players or don't naturally lean into that. Now there's a reason you can get actual mechanical buffs that help you by surviving longer, rather than just being like, sometimes the Space Engineers is a bit like, you don't want to die necessarily, but if you do, you're like, oh, I'll just respawn in my ship kind of thing. Yeah. It becomes kind of commonplace without people really thinking of it. And now there's a genuine buff and a reason not to. So again, I think they've done a good job, and I look forward to having massive farms and things like that going on. Could be good fun. There's also already for years there's like an economy system, and that I haven't really gotten into that too much, but there's like trading and things, and now you've got another avenue where you could be farming, either buying your stuff as an explorer or an engineer or whatever from settlements, or selling your produce that you're farming, and do a whole story along that line,
So
Ivan the farmer.
So it's vintage story in space.
It goes a little bit in that sort of direction, yeah. With just even more vehicles and things. So I'm so addicted to this game at the moment that it's a little bit crazy. But I didn't expect this much from the survival thing. I was like, as I said, I was a bit cautious because I thought, I wonder if there'll be a bit of pushback from the community and that, and there'll be a bit like, what's the point of this or whatever. But the fact that it's completely optional per save, so you can go into your saves.
Yeah.
And you've created them, and you can edit the saves, and you can change all these kind of settings as well as adding and removing mods and all that kind of stuff. And of course, the modding community is all over it. And people got a little thing to talk about at the end of today's session, but people have gone a bit nuts and started adding all sorts of different food ingredients and meals, and it's great to see. It's really good to see.
All right. So I've already mentioned Vintage Story. Which is also like you can vary how hard it hits and such. But if you were to draw some lines between these two games, like to compare, like how well does it fit for role play? How well does it create situations where you have good conversations in RP, and what, like where does one shine with the other kind of and so on. Like let's hear a bit of an analysis, because the next game up is Vintage Story, where you and Stats have been doing some shenanigans. So let's just do a rolling kind of segue into Vintage Story. Hit it.
Yeah. So I suppose that there are quite a few parallels, even if aesthetically they could be quite different, despite both using blocks. I suppose one way of or now with the survival update, the parallels are a lot closer than they were before, because you have this impetus, this survival impetus that wasn't necessarily there before in in Space Engineers. Where I would say so you both of them give you the freedom to just create and play very sort of sandboxy, and then from a roleplay point of view, you can essentially just lean right into the setting and or bring your own fantasy elements into it, more so with Vintage Story, I guess, than Space Engineers, because it's pretty stark. It's pretty obvious that it's all about advanced futuristic technology and overlapping with some contemporary stuff that we know in real life. But where they both shine in the sense that you can create and do almost anything that you can just imagine. So in Vintage Story in particular, that takes the form of things like having the chisel and just making forms that out of almost any block, and having a lot of fun with that kind of thing, whilst going about setting up your homestead and your farm and your whatever you want to do in that regard, or building a giant castle that flies. Flying castles unfortunately are not a thing, but where the difference, or one of the key differences, is that Vintage Story is kind of about finding a good place or a couple of places and kind of setting up home and farm and everything and surviving and telling a story that way. And Space Engineers is more about being mobile, about how do I travel from A to B to C and then get into like jump drives and stuff like that. Speaking of jump space. So Space Engineers is telling a story more about using a few, like drilling rigs and fixed implementations, a building area, that kind of thing, so that you can get mobile and build bigger and more varied ships and get on your merry way and just travel across the stars, harvesting asteroids, looking for there are these sort of big end boss bases and things, this thing called Factorum, where they have like ultra modern technology that you don't have access to unless you can beat them and take it from them, kind of stuff. I would say that's the core difference now, is that Vintage Story is all about go out, explore, so that you can come back and build and grow in one place, and Space Engineers is about build enough that you can get the resources and start mining and preparing yourself so that you can get mobile and go out and explore space.
Yeah, I like that. I like that very much.
Yeah.
And if you were to recommend one of these as the premier, let's have an RP adventure, which one would you go for?
Geez, that is really hard.
I know, I'm hitting you with the hard questions today, dude.
That is really hard. It's really hard because it's exactly like I've just described with the difference between them. It comes down to, I don't want to give a cop-out answer, but it comes down to, do you want it to be about, having a home, a focal point, and then exploring out from there? Is that what the group want to do? And tell their stories about living in a few little cottages near each other and building a little village together and that kind of thing? Or is it a group that wants to tell their story whilst expressing themselves through the vessels and vehicles that they build and the adventures that they go off on? In that regard, if that makes sense. Both of them can have combat elements. Man, it's really difficult to try and answer the question of which one I would recommend because they both, I think that's almost a good thing for me, like playing both of them in parallel, is that they're not doing exactly the same thing. There's core elements that heavily overlap, but you're kind of going about it in the opposite direction. One is surviving so that you can build and leave, and the other is surviving so that you can build up and have a home and and establish yourself that way and thrive from there. So yeah, it's really like, do you want to be in the medieval time or do you want to be in the space future time? That's and then
that might be a more important question, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's really the key. That's the key thing is, do you want to tell a fantasy like D&D style story, medieval style, or do you want to go to space and explore the stars? Because really it's a coin flip in that regard. The one thing I would say with Space Engineers is it's quite well known. Unfortunately, it has difficulties being, probably not originally designed for this, and being a bit older now. It is not great when it comes to multiplayer long term. So when you have 10 people on a server doing all the voxels and building things and digging holes and and all that kind of stuff, you can do cleanups and stuff like that, but you kind of have to, because the game gets a little bit tired and the world gets a little bit sluggish at times, because it's not the group we're in where we've got about 8 to 10 of us. It's working fine for the Rift, but when we had a group of 20 to 25 people for the Colony Battlegrounds, we almost had to finish the series a bit early. We did in the end, even though we got 30 sessions out of it, or 15 sessions out of it, or whatever. We had to finish the series because the server was just like, nah, I'm done here. You move on, guys. Start a new world. So yeah, there's a little bit of that, and hopefully Space Engineers 2, that'll be one of the key. If it can do what Space Engineers did with better performance, especially over longer time multiplayer, and with obviously improved graphics and all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
sure, there'll be new features in that, but essentially they've got a winning product that just needs that stability and that that long term aspect for ease of use for multiplayer sessions, and I think it will be a huge. So yeah,
fair enough. Let's cross our fingers for Space Engineers 2 and continue on wondering what the floating castle of Ernie and the King will be doing in the future. Next installment of that is tomorrow.
Yes.
Good. I'm looking forward to this. Vintage Story, you mentioned, has, of course, plenty of elements of survival, needing to get out there and figure things out. And having animals that are eager, shall we say. Be that bears or wolves or whatever.
Yep.
And I've recently played a game called Way of the Hunter. It's been out for a while now, and the reason why I'm looking at this is because I've picked up Call of the Wild, the Hunter, again not long ago, which is always a lot of fun, and in its own kind of, yeah, things are chill. You're just out walking in the wilderness. Sometimes there's a bear, sometimes there's a wolf, sometimes there's a deer. You just kind of enjoy that. You can play it together with friends, and it allows you to have these conversations. And I've been looking at Way of the Hunter because I've seen others play it, and it offers a very different kind of view on the hunting experience. And as a game, I want to point that out. This is not a simulator. These are both very much games. They're not trying to tell you how it is to be a hunter or anything. No. They take elements from reality, but it's still very much a game. So, in Call of the Wild, you have this PDA where you can plot in the footprints, and you can look at the blood splatter, and it'll tell you the general direction of where the animal ran, and it'll light up and everything. And you don't have to do anything special to do this. Like, this is just natural. Like, it's just part of how you do things. You can turn it off in the settings if you want a harder experience. Like, it's just make it harder for yourself to play and whatnot. But Way of the Hunter has solved this in a different, quite fun little solution.
Okay.
So one thing that I always find in Call of the Wild is that it's hard to sneak. It's hard to find a good position to shoot from, because animals spook way too quickly.
Right. Okay.
And when you're playing a game, like you want to do the hunting. You want to play the hunter. You want to be the hunter, right? You don't want to be the guy stalking through an underbrush for half an hour as you're crawling on your stomach. That's not what you're looking for. Some people may, but that's not me. In Way of the Hunter, they've made it much easier to sneak up and feel like you're able to hunt, like you're able to get to that position, and they have something called hunter sense. For anyone who has played The Witcher, they will instantly be familiar with how hunter sense works, because in The Witcher you have Witcher senses. You turn that on and you get a little wobbly white outline from where there's sounds. You're able to see where there's stuff that's going on in the grass and whatnot, and you do that in Way of the Hunter too. Like, you see where animals have been lying down in the grass, you know, where have they been drinking, and if you shoot an animal in such a way that you cause it to bleed, like it doesn't go down instantly, then you will have to go into your hunter senses and walk up to where it started bleeding, and then you can look at that. But there's no interaction with this trail of blood. Like, you look at it, and then you let the hunter senses show you where the next blood splatter is. Like, you don't get a magical arrow showing you where it is, but you need to stand still a tiny bit for your hunter senses to kick in. That way you kind of see, okay, the wind's that way, it bolted off there, there's the next blood splatter. Okay, now we walk up to that and we stand still a bit. And it feels, whereas it takes it up a notch in how you hunt, it feels more rewarding somehow. I don't know how else to describe it. Because it rewards you for learning. Like, if you really want to be good, like, yeah, you'll always go for a heart shot on whatever you're hunting. But if you really want to get rewarded for shooting or hunting in a good way, then yeah, you'll want to have to shorten down that trek as much as possible. Like, you don't have to worry about losing track of the animal and whatnot. And Way of the Hunter has done that in a really fun way. It's impressive. And sitting there in the very tall grass and hearing something come trudging through the grass in front of you and not instantly seeing it, that really brings your pulse going like like I sat there and I was like, what the heck is coming for me in this grass right now? Turns out it was an American badger, so it wasn't really all that terrifying. But sitting there with the hunter senses on and just kind of, there's something right in front of me, and all I have is this dinky little rifle. Like, how do I take care of myself? And it's just, they've done it in such a good way. I'm super impressed. And
so you're
go ahead.
You're basically playing tank or bush, but you're playing bear or badger.
Yeah, pretty much. And another thing they've done well is that when you get a new weapon, you will always have the most basic ammo for it. Like, that's always free. So not just the most basic of weapons, but getting a new rifle that has a higher caliber or whatnot, you will have the basic ammunition for it. You don't have to purchase that. And I think that's really nice because it emphasizes the game part of it, if you will. And when you go through the tutorial and you finally make it into the full game, I haven't tested it multiplayer yet, but I really want to try it out together with Karottenbrot because he has it. Like, one of the things you do is you are a hunter for a restaurant where people put in orders for what kind of meat they want at the restaurant, and that can be pheasants, or you'll be sent out to hunt down vermin, or animals that aren't supposed to be there. And it gives you a purpose. It's not just walk in the wilderness and shoot.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really cool idea. Like, Hunter Call Wild has that too. We've done some of it in the Angler, of course. They also have the kind of story mode and such, which is really nice. But yeah, Way of the Hunter. I was pleasantly surprised by it.
Cool.
And I think it can be one of those. Right, I'm just gonna sit in the hunting blind and make sure that the scent of me isn't blowing towards where the animals will be, and hunt. It can easily be one of those. Also, don't ask me how I know, but there will So when you hunt something in Way of the Hunter, you get a hunting rating, right? Like, how well have you hit it? Like, did you hit it in a vital spot so it died quickly and everything? Let's just say, and I'm not sure how I know this, there may be a rating on these that says roadkill. It's like
some good intuition that you know that.
Yeah. Let's go with intuition. Sure. Okay, so the pheasant came right at me. Okay, don't at me. I don't know why I've started saying that again. No idea. Sip of water there. Anyway, so yeah, Way of the Hunter. Terrifying. How terrifying is SurrounDead?
It has its moments. I'm very early into this so far. But I got a tip from a creator friend and I was like, okay, I'll check this out. And yeah, it's like a first or third person kind of Project Zomboid, if you will. Where you are surrounded by the undead. And yeah, you got to go around there to various points of interest, various towns, and off the beaten path as well. There are I mean, I'll read the description. So it's an open world survival game taking place in a world ravaged by an apocalyptic catastrophe. The dead reign free and will stop at nothing to kill you. So
Lovely.
there you go. Yeah. And again, I never used to I still don't really like zombie games that much, but I've played a few now, and you know, there's degrees of things. And this one is I don't know how you would describe the art style. It reminds me of what's that game, Canada and the Bears and the Snow, the Long Dark, is that the one?
Yeah, Long Dark,
yeah,
or
yeah.
Life in Iceland, as I call it.
Yeah. So it's kind of got that sort of an art style to it, and it's just really fun and draws you in. Again, it's very early days in its development. I mean, it's been around since 2022, but it's going through a bit of a revival at the moment, or whatever it seems. A few big updates coming. It's not yet multiplayer. I'm really, really looking forward to when it will. But the devs are active on it. They just posted October 3rd, for example. What's going on? What's the current update? What's coming next, kind of thing. They're working on remaking the bunker system to make them more sort of fun and enjoyable. Adding an infection system in, so the zombies will be able to infect you in various ways, and you'll have to find some medicine and stuff like that to up the ante, I guess. New points of interest and things like that, and a subway and sewer system. So it's basically a little bit Project Zomboid, but in a more FPS style, in a Long Dark kind of art style, with with a load of zombies and at the moment single player. But it's kind of like, even in the tutorial, it shows you how to look after your weapons, do a bit of crafting, how to gather some resources, and then it shows you, for example, different vehicles you can get and maintain. One of them being like an RV. And so you can, you know, try and have your mobile base and everything. You get in and out of it and just go, you know, around and about where you can. You can build your own little encampment and stuff and try and survive, set traps and that kind of stuff. So just charming little game that I'm keeping an eye on, and I picked up on a recommendation. It was only a couple of quid, and I'm hoping that they're going to be able to get the multiplayer aspect of it, because I think, again, this will be one of those ones. If it's like, I don't know how many people it would be, but if it's 4 or 5 players or whatever, you can imagine this being a great co-op, a good Sunday laugh, let's try and survive kind of thing. Situation. And I recommend people have a look into it. Just some of the pictures about, again, for me, I always like to be able to build a little base or something, either a vehicle or a base. If you can give me one or both of those, you've got my interest. And then the rest of it is just the story you can weave into that as you go along. So I recommend having a look at SurrounDead, and like I said, either wishlist it or just, you know, pick it up. I don't know, a couple of quid, and well worth looking at, I think.
All right. I've already seen some people play it, so I'm very curious to see where it's going, and then I think that's definitely one of those that once it's multiplayer, I will consider it more. I will definitely consider it more. But I think I watched Lima play it. I think, I'm not 100% sure. A couple of others, and it does look like it could be fun, but definitely more multiplayer. Attuned for my sake, so gonna keep an eye on that. Rounding off recently played games, we're gonna talk about a new game on the scene. Is World of Warships. Not sure if you're familiar with it.
Rings a bell.
Yeah, so we've often talked about World of Warships. It used to be a permanent segment on this podcast, but with us changing a bit how we stream and everything, it no longer holds that kind of space. It does for me in the sake that it's the main game I stream. And having done that now for a bit, I want to give a kudos, and this is something we've whipped quite a few times. And it has to do with content saturation. For a very long time, World of Warships was horrible with its content saturation, like too much going on at the same time. And I found myself the other day looking at how the current events are set up. Like, there's more going on than ever. But because of a couple of changes they've made. One, the event pass, aka the battle pass or whatever you want to call it. The event pass is very straightforward. It's like, it's not giving you specifics other than base XP and amount of base XP per day or whatever you're looking to do in order to progress it. That's it. It's not giving you huge chains. It's not telling you that this needs to be done within then to then progress onto the next chain so that you can, and so on and so forth. You know, it's not cramming that down your neck. The other thing they've done is for this entire 10-year 10-year update celebration thing, they've given us what they call the update navigator, showing us what are the current events going on, what's new in the different patches, what have they introduced, and like some of the key elements of what's going on. GQ Johnny, and now there's the naval base thing. I can't remember what it's called.
Liberty Harbor,
that's the one. And like, there's so much going on, but with how they've chosen to show it and structure it, I don't feel overwhelmed anymore. I don't feel like I have to be online every single day to understand what's going on in the game. And that is important because it makes me feel less afraid of burning out on it, you know? Because it's not just huge blocks of text showing me that you have to get this much XP per day or whatever. Like, it is structured in a way where I go into its own little bubble and I interact with it there, and then I go back out and play my normal battles. Like, they've found a way of having just as much content, maybe even more, but without making it feel overwhelming. Your mileage may vary, but for me, this is at least how I feel about Liberty Harbor and all of the things going on right now. And I'm kind of impressed, because I'm normally one of those that will be fully overwhelmed and be like, no, I like this is too much, I'm burning out, and then poof. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that the step in, definitely a big step in the right direction. The navigator, it does help. Sometimes it's a little bit finicky, I've found, maybe in different updates, where you would click on things and when you back out of them, you're not back in the navigator anymore. You're back somewhere else in the UI, and that kind of irritates me, because I'm very much, when it comes to UI and UX, like, the less clicks I have to go through to get to my goal, the better, typically. And they've done a couple of things in development where I'm like, you get 1 or 2 clicks to get into something, but then when you back out of it, you're back at square one. So instead of you being your sort of 2 clicks in and then 1 click back and then 1 click in kind of thing, you're 2 clicks in, then a couple of clicks to back out, and then you got to go all the way, another 2 clicks in to find the next thing. So there's a couple of things where I'm sure I feel like it already got better in this next iteration than it was originally. I do like the fact that you can go to like any port you want and then still click on the Liberty Harbor in this update on the top left. That's huge. Because in the past they've had like special ports and you kind of have to be in those if you want to see some of the content. I think that the event pass thing, the way they've done that and continue to do it, I think that's really good. It's a great way of grinding without really focusing on the grinding, and getting something out of it. I agree with that fully, especially this current one. I think the last two, but certainly this current one feels very good, very rewarding, and worthwhile. I feel like it's a bit like with the containers and the multi-container button. Like they changed that whole screen around to make 3 separate areas out of one that was there before. And then it really bugs me. It really, really irritates me that the open multiple containers top right, you make me move all the way up there with my, focus and the mouse and everything. And then you give me an additional prompt of like, am I sure I want to open everything? I've moved already to that. I've moved my focus, my attention and my mouse to that corner of the screen that you've trained me to get used to. Don't ask me any additional questions. And then on top of that, it obviously opens up the content instead of on that screen like it used to. It opens up in a separate screen. So I've now got 3 clicks and then a back out escape to complete the task that I used to do with a lot less. So my pet peeves and my personal take on it, but I applaud them for changing it to make it more obvious what you're doing so you don't misclick things and whatever. But somebody needs to do quality control and say, hang on, we've now got 5 clicks there where you used to have 2.
Yeah.
What's going on with that? How can we reduce that kind of thing? So the Liberty Harbor is another example where I think that they're doing some fun and interesting content and ways of like delivering stuff. But for heaven's sake, there's in that, I think, 4 sections to go into that you then back out of back to the Liberty Harbor itself. So it's 1 click to go into Liberty Harbor, fine. Then it's 1 click per segment to go in. Then you've got multiple like upgrade this thing or not, or click on a mission and accept it kind of thing. And then you've got to escape back out to the Liberty Harbor and then go into the next section. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing all of that, then you've got to go into 4 sections separately, click multiple things in them, and then back out again. That is irritating in the extreme for me personally. I think that's not good UI design. So I don't know how easy it is to design differently or how they could program it. It might be better if it was pop-up like segments on the screen rather than the whole going into the whole screen each time. They seem to have this thing where they go deep down rabbit holes with each section rather than having a window pop up saying, oh, do you want to activate these 3 missions? Click, 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 done. Close that window. That seems more intuitive to me, the way I would do it. But I'm not a programmer either, so I'm not going to be too critical, because these are obviously experts. This is what they do. Yeah. But I think somebody needs to just be looking over their shoulder and say, hang on a minute, you've made 5 clicks there. What are you doing? But yeah, other than that, and my other little pet peeve with the Libby, I've started on a rant now. No, the other little one with it is I invested into the boosting station and I couldn't for the life of me where I was spending points on these boosts thinking, there's nothing going on. Where is it? And I just realized this morning that you have to manually scroll further down to find the things that are boosted.
Yep.
So they're in the same task list, but you've got to scroll down the page.
Yep.
But the scroll bar and everything is so like built in, like embedded and barely visible that you don't even notice it's there, or I didn't. So I went several days having invested in this thing thinking, I've wasted my points. What's going on? So yeah, I think I'm a CC, so I could type this up and give them feedback. I'm sure they're getting it in the neck from Jurak and others anyway. But let me know in the comments and feedback to the podcast if you've had a similar experience and whether you enjoyed it.
Yeah. So one thing that I know that both me, Statsbloke, and a few others always kind of have a moment with is it's the UX of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are slowly getting better on some points, but then like you say, they go and introduce something where you go from 1 click to 5 clicks. In some points, it might be useful to, instead of having an instant thing happen as soon as you click, you actually have a confirmation and like, are you sure? That's fine, but we need to look at where we apply these. Like, for instance, if I click up top right to open all my boxes, give me the confirmation or deny up there, not on a separate screen in the middle, but give me that up near where I'm already focusing on the screen. Like, are you sure you want to open all of these?
Yeah.
Like that's where I need that, not boff, middle of my screen, and then I need to close that and then go click open again. You know, it's there are things they could do, but they are improving, and we're now definitely starting to see the fruit of the fully operational dev team, because they've not been fully operational for quite some time after they moved to Belgrade, but they are now slowly but surely getting into, and we are now starting to see the fruit of that fully operational dev team. So hopefully we'll start seeing some more improvements to the UX over time, where they have had the time to kind of sit down and go, okay, let's clean up things, let's make it smoother, let's make it more, quality of life, and I think we're gonna get there.
Cool.
Speaking of quality of life, water parks bring much quality. I don't know where I'm going with this. Well, they do honestly bring quality of life to people. Water parks are fun, and as such, there had to be a game of Waterpark Simulator. I don't know if you've watched Stats play this.
A little bit, yeah. Wasn't really my thing, but it looked amusing the way he was going about it.
So Stats has played this. Peace and Quiet has played this. Mari bought me this game because she has watched Peace and Quiet play this. I've watched Gassy play this. Like, this thing has Twitch integration in a good way, because you can either apply to work at the park, or when the park is open, you can type and you can come visit. And this then, of course, brings more people in, and this is done in a very nice way. And it's like just watching the chaos of Stats running around yelling at his employees for taking too long breaks, or bonking people for coming into his park without paying, and or trying to stave off the seagull attack or whatnot. There's so much going on. I will be playing this. And I'm going to go ahead and say right now it's solo, but they do have multiplayer on their roadmap. Grumbles. They have multiplayer on the roadmap.
That can only be chaos.
Right?
Yeah, I don't see that going well at all. Not for the visitors, at least. I already saw Stats going around super soaking visitors, and I was like, if he's got to that point already where he kind of hates his guests.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. It's going to be one of those super chaotic ones that just has all the craziness, like any of these occupational simulator games, be that fast food simulator or whatnot. It's there's so much. There's so much, and you gotta love it. You gotta love it. So I will definitely be enjoying that at some point in the very near future. And I hope people will pop by and do that. And I will urge you to do that too at some point, Grumbles, because I think I think with your personal style of chaotic gameplay,
What?
it will definitely suit you. Who said
Not sure about this.
gameplay? I don't know what
Not sure about this chaotic accusation.
Accusation? It's not an accusation. It's an observation.
Yeah. I knew it.
It's as if we know each other.
J'accuse, as the French would say.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, so going from one thing that has a lot of cleanup in it, where you need to run around with a mop to make sure that people don't slip, to another one where stats will also be involved, is Goblin Cleanup. Do you know what this game is?
No, I got a vague recollection, but I think I'm mixing it up in my mind with another game with goblins in it. What's Goblin Cleanup all about?
Okay, so Goblin Cleanup will first and foremost, it's I'm not sure if it's going to happen on both mine and Stats' channel, but it will definitely be happening on Peace and Quiet's channel this Saturday. So when you listen to this, if you're not a patron, it'll be too late. But if you are a patron, this Saturday, given that you listened to the podcast before Saturday, you will be able to see Goblin Cleanup. Goblin Cleanup is very much like what was the name of that? Viscera Cleanup Detail. Where instead of being the industrial cleanup crew after industrial accidents and whatnot go on, you are a goblin that is sent in to clean a dungeon.
Oh.
So you clean and reset the dungeon after adventurers have been through it. It's up to 4 people, I think.
Okay.
And like you use magic, you just reset the traps. You make sure that there's no blood spilled, and you put the barrels back, and you put the tables back, and it's interactive in a way that you need to watch at what you do. Like, so make sure that you do things in the right order, so you're not trailing blood everywhere, and so there's from experience, these sorts of games end up being very, very chaotic. So for anyone who's a patron, and probably many others at the point where you listen to this, you might have seen us do this. Please come watch us play Goblin Cleanup. There's got to be notifications, So I don't know what I'm talking about. This is weird kind of future, but also past tense. This is breaking my brain a tiny bit. But yeah, Goblin Cleanup. It's shenanigans when you work together. And I'm looking forward to testing that out. There's another game that I'm also looking forward to testing out. It's just gonna have a brief mention here, because I've seen how I think it's Gassy, Cream, Cletus, and probably like Burke or some others. They've played this. It's Drive Beyond Horizons. And you start out in a tiny jalopy, and you figure out parts, and you go from place to place, and you try to upgrade and build newer and better and bigger cars. I haven't looked further into it, but I know there's some story shenanigans going on. There's going to be more, and I think that this is going to be an excellent Friday evening shenanigans kind of game. Together with the usual suspects, because of just how that game behaves, and in very similar fashion, there is one that has been sent to me 5 times by people who are unaffiliated outside of the fact that they watch my streams, and it's RV there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know has been sent to you too.
Yeah.
And has probably been recommended to you by many others at the same point. And I can see RV there yet being a Sunday morning kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh boy. What?
Yeah, so Blutenham just popped up and was like, I think your Sunday crew, I think you'd get a kick out of this. And I was like, what on earth's this? And so I looked it up, and it hasn't actually, it's just got 21st of October, so today, on day of recording, planned release, but it hasn't got any like demo or whatnot, and there's no pricing information, so I'm a bit curious about that. But yeah, essentially, what's it build at? A co-op adventure about driving your recreational vehicle home.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty succinct and lacking in detail. But essentially, it's a bunch of characters, almost in like the movie Up style of drawing and that artwork, and they're just gonna try to get home in a way that is, you know, in an RV, a big sort of camper mobile home kind of thing, and it just looks like you get into all sorts of trouble. There's you know, smoking and people slacking off on the job, and you know, you got to rely on each other. I'm sure there's going to be some mechanics in there that are going to trip us up as well. And you know, there's like winches and RVs being stuck halfway down cliff sides and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to look almost too into it because I don't want to spoil anything that when we find it in the game, but it does look like it could be a fun one. We'll have to wait and see what it bills at and everything. If it's going to release today, then we might know sooner rather than later. But yeah, it looks it's worth looking up on Steam. It's called RV as in the letters there yet. And go have a look at the trailer video and that, and hopefully we'll be able to play that with our dinner party or in some kind of friends group in the not too distant future.
So the game itself has the following text on it. You and your buddies are on your way home from a relaxing vacation, but you're forced to take an alternate route. Already there, you know things are gonna go great.
Yep.
Get your RV through the backcountry and find exit to Route 65. And it says survive Mabbott's Valley. Although I think they probably want us to pronounce that Mabbott's. So be sure to keep a steady flow of burgers, antidotes, and the classic EpiPens. What? There's winching, like you said. There's there's, oh my god, I'm just watching some of these videos. I am definitely looking forward to testing this out, because I will. There's no doubt about that. Proximity chat. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. I see where this is going. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
should be a good light RP time.
Oh, indeed. Yeah, I've put that on my wish list. It's fine. But yeah, that does indeed sound like it could be a lot of fun. As long as people are kind of okay with sometimes being a bit try-hardy when things get a bit sweaty, you know.
Yeah.
Just allow yourself to kind of be like, okay, we've been stuck in this gorge for half an hour. Let's actually try hard to make it out, you know.
I can't see us being stuck in a game for half an hour or longer. What?
Depends. Am I doing the scouting or not?
Wow, throw Damien under the bus like that.
Wait, what? I'm throwing myself under the bus. Or RV,
Terrible
if you will.
sense of a direction.
I mean, you're not wrong. Speaking of Damien and terrible sense of direction, Enshrouded. New big upgrade coming out.
Yeah.
the water update, as it's been dubbed.
Yeah.
On popular.
I've tried not to look too much into it. I've seen a video which was a couple of guys that were with the devs at Gamescom, I think it was, having a look with them, and they did some great video and great breakdown of stuff. But I've seen a few other people comment of like, "You guys better be ready because here comes the flood," and I'm like, having recently caused a minor rooftop pool incident on top of the giant castle that what flies in Vintage Story. I can only imagine what water shenanigans we can get up to, and how our village it will indeed be flooded. I think it'll be like Lima's Treepocalypse, but with water.
Oh no!
So we'll see.
Oh
But
no!
yeah, right. Can you imagine it just accidentally dropping a bucket of water and flooding the valley or something? So the in brackets, in air quotes, good news is that you can only manipulate the water and that within your territory, so to the limit of your boundaries.
That's
The
what
flip side of
terrifies
that-
me.
Yeah, the flip side of that is when there's nowhere else for the water to go. Yeah.
Oh, no.
So it should be interesting.
Lima, please promise us that you consult us and not just pull a Lima. Like actually talk to us before you go and do something with the water, please. Pretty please. I beg you. Anyway, there's gonna be fishing too.
Yeah, exactly. So it should be awesome. Like, it looks like we'll be able to make our own waterfalls, our own streams, irrigate farms, and hopefully make some koi ponds or some fishing, mini fishing lakes or whatever. Like, it's got a lot of promise to it, I think. So we'll just we'll have to wait and see.
I think this is gonna be good. It's I love the fact that it's been out for so long, but they're still bringing in new elements in this way. Like, it's not just new biomes, but it's actually new game mechanics, and I think that's really cool.
Yep.
So good stuff coming out of those devs.
Yep.
Speaking of updates, Twitch, what the fuck? This is something that has annoyed me for so long. Like, because I've noticed this, I've seen this, I've been wondering about this for so long, about why are 1 or 2 subscriptions or bits suddenly triggering hype trains on my channel. And I've been so annoyed. I've been so confused because I know I've manually set it to, I think it's 4 events or 3 events or whatever. Like I've set my level to where I want it so that it doesn't trigger just because there's a lot going on and someone throws in some gift subs or 2 people resub at the same time, you know? I don't want to trigger a hype train from that. However, Twitch has really started pushing these hype trains on us streamers, like, heavily. And I think it is because they saw that, oh yeah, hype trains were a success when they were first introduced. How do we evolve them? There's a lot of buses today. I'm so sorry.
Yep.
And then the latest change here is they introduced, without really saying much about it, not really showing us it, that underneath where you set the amount of events that you want to happen for it to trigger a hype train. And to explain to those who don't know, streamers have a bar where we can set, do you want 3, 4, 5, or however many events, being at least 100 bits, 1 gifted sub, or 1 resub, or 1 subscription for that matter. Like, those are the 4 triggering events that can happen. So if 1 person gifts 5 subs, that's 1 event. And then 1 person gives or another person gives 100 bits, that's 2 events total. And then for most people, you need a third event to trigger a hype train. What Twitch have started doing is when there's a lot going on in chat comparatively to how it normally is, then they'll trigger a hype train. What's the wording on that again? It annoyed me. I sent you this screenshot not long ago. Let me have a look here. Yeah, so the wording on it.
Go ahead.
Yeah. High engagement moments. Yeah. Hype trains might start if we detect higher than usual channel activity while still respecting your cooldown selection. Yeah, except you're not.
Yeah, exactly. You're just overriding it. We respect it. We're going to override it, but we respect it.
So, like, if I say 3 events, I want 3 events. I don't want 2. I don't care if there's a lot going on in chat. Like, the thing is, this is compared to how it normally is. If I have a super chill stream where I'm down in deep voice mode, talking a bit low, explaining it down a bit, just doing just a super chilled out stream, and there's suddenly, let's say there's 3 people saying hi at the same time, that can be enough that the trigger that Twitch are looking for could be one set of 5 gifted subs. That could trigger a hype train. I've seen that. I've had that happen. And I was so confused and annoyed because, yeah, there might be an actual cooldown thing in Twitch's own systems, but you know what happened to my bot?
No.
It triggered my hype train alert, which has its own cooldown. It's not tied to the Twitch API, right?
Oh my God.
Meaning, there was then suddenly another hype train not long after while my bot was still off cooldown and super confused and is like, what's going on? Why is this happening? So meaning there was no alert of the new hype train. And it's like, if you're going to do this, if you're going to have these things, at least make sure that we have access to the fucking API, will you? So we can fucking use it. It pisses me off to no end that they do this. I understand the need for revenue, but will you, for fuck's sake, please fucking talk to us so that we can fucking give you fucking feedback on this and help you so that we create a good tool together that works for us as streamers, make sure that you get your revenue, and that viewers have a good interaction. It can't be that hard. They have enough streamers to take this data from and talk to them about. Like, you don't need it from everyone, but I'm pretty sure most of us will share how we are kind of seeing this as confusing and not overbearing, but an overreach. Like, this is an overreach from Twitch, simply put.
Yeah.
All because they really love their hype trains.
Well, you're right. The key thing is it confuses the streamer, and usually 9 times out of 10, when the streamer's a bit confused, the audience is confused with them. So that's what happened to me. I think it even triggered on like 1.
Yeah.
When you did it on my channel the other day. There's also a psychological element where you kind of feel a bit crap because you're like, oh, I see. So when you look at the wording and the triggers, you're like, oh, so what you're saying is, in my case, it was like we were having more of a quiet time and that, although people were chatting away as normal.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden there's this hype and all this other stuff going on. And it's like, no, this is not what we're doing right now. This is, the old school way of like, you're trying to have that chill time, but 2 or 3 troublemakers in your chat just, jump on and say, oh, someone just resold, let's have at it or whatever. And then you could have a bit of a laugh about it and everything, but at least everyone kind of knew.
Yeah.
It was everyone had a chance to kind of see what was happening. Whereas this is just like out of the blue. Plus, it triggered the Twitch alerts, which are separate, and I don't know if I need to turn those off. But I'm trying to embrace the things they're doing where I can, and so that you get this rocket train thing going across the screen, and these alerts and everything like distracting me away from what I was doing and focused on, and it's like, what did that bring? And then you get the thing of like, well, because it happened at such a random moment, people are less likely, probably in my experience anyway, to jump on board and get involved with it, because they're like, well, this is we were talking about something, or we were doing a thing in the game together or whatever. This wasn't where we were at in our thinking and our enjoyment of the stream collectively. So everyone's just like, well, that was weird. Let's just ignore that random alert and move on. So they're not even pushing more revenue, and I would imagine it's probably similar in a lot of places, so certainly for the vast majority of their user base, as it were, I can't see that really being a positive. It's more of a negative. Like you said, we've got a setting. I mean, bring something in like that if you want, and then communicate it effectively to us. I don't think there was any communication on that at all, that feature. And then have it turned off by default and let us choose if we want to use it. Done.
Like,
everybody can get on board with that. Don't just make it the new default and confuse the hell out of us mid-live streams.
Like, feel free to bring my attention to it by kind of going, hey, streamer, here's a new thing you need to check out and decide if you want to have yes or no. Do that through Twitch notifications, but, make the text clear. Click here to go to the new setting. And then maybe have like a little ribbon saying this is new, outline it or whatever. They have that as a possibility. This is not hard to do with front end development.
How about doing that instead of, hey, there's a fresh drop for such and such?
Yeah.
Like, what are the information that no one needs to know about? No one cares. Just give us the drops and make sure they work all the time. You don't need to send us additional notifications that actually ping up in our browser saying, hey, there's a fresh... You're giving me pointless information, and then you change this, which has a revenue impact as well as a flow of the stream and everything else, so an impact on my audience too, and you just switch that on without telling me about it. It's like, you got to make your minds up. Either you're running it or... This doesn't feel like a partnership when you do things like that.
Because like, one thing you said was so important in regards to that. Like, at least when you see that, okay, there's a resub, cool. And then you have these troublemakers, as you call them, or mods and regulars, as I call them. They can often then kind of go, is it hype train time? And do the bits. And then see, will someone else jump on it? Like, you see the little notification. There is a little thing hanging above chat reminding you that, okay, you are very close to triggering a hype train. And then people can kind of be like, your streamer could notice and be like, no, not now. Like, we could try to calm it down, even though that usually brings on the opposite. But there are times where I've been like, I can't have a hype train right now. My brain is not there. Could we please let this pass? And people have been very kind and let it pass, because the brain was just not in space there. And like, but suddenly just having like hype train, whoa, it's like out of nowhere. When, like you said, the conversation was calm and collected, and it was just this nice little thing happening, and I thought, I'm gonna throw my resub in here and say hello. And when you have one resub in the middle of something like that, it's fine. You can go back to having the conversation. But suddenly there's a hype train and all other things going on, and it's like, what the heck?
Yeah, exactly.
And it was weird. It was weird. So there's a lot going on at Twitch, and I think we're seeing another push for this whole, we need to make revenue. We need to actually have plus, and I understand that, but it feels like such an overreach, and I think we're seeing that as a result in a lot of other things and a lot of other places on Twitch right now.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those places is with regards to notifications about who goes live and when and how the ingress points works and everything, because they have reduced the amount of ingress servers, and I think they've probably reduced a lot of the other back end, because Introvert has noticed that his go live notifications in regards to me have suddenly disappeared. And I think I've seen that with other people too, where people who I know I have notifications on, 3 hours later, I get the notification that, oh, they're live. And then it's like, yeah, we're just about to end. Like, oh, but Twitch told me now that you're going live.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's then because the notification has triggered somewhere, but not been sent out, but then it propagates through the system and then finally reaches me. I think that's what's going on. This is just a wild theory though, but like there seems to be some sort of synchronization lag or whatnot going on, where suddenly, instead of having that flow that hits everywhere, then it has to go through certain points before it gets out. And I think this is very, very much giving, or it's very clear that they are on the AWS system. We're getting into very, very technical speak, but these are the Amazon web server clusters, like where you have those web services that a lot of things such as Twitch and Fortnite and Snapchat and everything else, that they're on these services and they all communicate to each other. But if you are used to having a system where one server, one ingress point sees that I go live, and that normally sends to, let's say, EU West, which then sends out to EU users in EU West, but it also sends a signal to North America West, which then sends out the notification to its users, and then further, like it travels through the system in that way. When you suddenly reduce the amount of servers and network and everything that goes on there, you will have synchronization issues and you'll have bottlenecks where suddenly either notifications drop off because they're seen as, okay, this is no longer active, this is no longer useful, and it'll just be removed. So I have a weird feeling that we're kind of in this kind of sort of ish land. But this is merely a speculation from my end. However, I'm going to tell everyone listening to this podcast, both streamers and everyone else, what I have done to solve this, to make sure that people get the notification that they need. I have made a separate group on Discord called Live. It will be pinged when I go live, or sometimes when I'm not live and I see that someone is playing a game that I really feel people should watch, especially in a time where I normally would be live, then I could recommend going watching some of my friends, or this and that creator is live, go watch them. But those are the only moments where I use that. It'll not be used to send out news. It'll not be used to tell people or everything. And that's something other creators can do too. Like, let people sign up for this notification group. That way they can kind of say, okay, only pings from this will be done in this channel. Like, have a separate channel, have a separate group. That way people can sign up and know that they won't be flooded. It'll only be when the user goes live.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something you can do on my Discord. So yeah, that way I will let people know when I go live, if I remember to do it, because it's not an automated system. I'm going to have a drink before we continue on. Water. It's good for you. Drink some.
It is. Speaking of, I've drunk quite a lot. A quick bio break.
We can do that before we continue on with...
Merci.
Know your role! Yes. And to know our role today, we will continue on with a question from Introvert, who has, of course, chosen to be a patron. Patron? He has not chosen to be a Patreon. He has chosen to be a patron. There's a big difference. And he has a comment that he sent in. We've already covered part of it, of course, with the Twitch thing. But Introvert says, wondering if I missed this in a previous episode, but has the dinner party gone on a hiatus? And he also says there was some change to Twitch that might have reset stream notifications, and we will cover the rest of his comment a bit later. But yeah, dinner party is kind of on a hiatus, mostly because it's hard for us to find a good recording window. With Doc working the shifts he does, and you know, for both of us, it's like Tuesday is the day where we can kind of do recording, and yeah. So this last Sunday, while we were playing Roadcraft, and this is something I have been wondering about for a bit, even though I know it was originally, I think we touched on this the first time when we sat down to talk a bit about what are we going to be doing with Conquest and Cataclysm and so on. But the first thought was, this is going to be a live stream, but we quickly saw that it's not engaging people in the same way, because our audiences are not set up for watching that kind of content on a live stream. There are many that do that on live streams, but not our audiences, which is fair. This is not criticism or anything. This is merely an observation. So then we thought about, okay, let's try to make this into YouTube videos. The problem on YouTube videos is, where do you host them? Do you start a completely new channel? Do you, like, who does the editing, and like how do we make sure that the correct content is on screen? Like there's a lot more going on with just doing that. So now on Sunday, the thought, like, you brought it up, but I have sincerely been thinking about this. How about making it into an audio only podcast? And I think that will work very well. It won't really do much in in the form of making it easier for us to find recording windows, but it'll lower the threshold for finding those windows, because then, like, people don't have to feel like they need to have their beard shaved, or you know, like, not everybody needs to run a camera or anything. Like, we'll probably still have some sort of video just to show a background, kind of like we're doing with the podcast right now, but it makes it easier to say, okay, all the episodes are now going to patreon.com/dinner party or whatever. You know, it's easier to host an audio only that is created with multiple people, because there are more platforms that cater to that as opposed to us having our viewing audience. We know that we want to create these stories. We know that we have audiences that want to listen to them, but it's definitely like the stuff that we make for the dinner party or Conquest and Cataclysm, as the first adventure is called. It's definitely going to be more suited for it. And much like with the podcast, now that, like, with both me and you having a lot of experience doing this now, we're on our 5th year. We're almost into our 6th year for flip's sake. That just gave me a whoa. That in and of itself is something that we can utilize. We can harvest that and really jump into it. Like it's going to be so much easier for us to get these episodes done. And it's on a hiatus until we can find those recording windows. But I really think it can be a whole lot better if we just do it as an audio adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Anything?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the format that will suit it. Because as you said, there's a lot of things that go into this. It's not simply just having a story and sitting down around a table. I wish it was that easy.
That would be amazing.
But I think that on the one hand, doing it as audio will reduce the complexity for us, not in terms of scheduling, as you said, but I think it will potentially, even that will be helped, because we should be able to, with a bit of practice, get it down to kind of, solid 2 hour, even shorter sessions that give us enough content for an episode. And in terms of the delivery, as you said, that becomes considerably easier. And also just finding a target audience. Like, we have a few collectively in each of our different communities, but we need to kind of channel it all, as it were. I suppose that's a bit of a pun, but also accurate, in order to, bring that, to give it that all-round feeling for us that what we're creating isn't just evaporating out in the ether doing nothing kind of thing. And that's just complicated on other platforms and in a video format. And the bottom line is that we're a group of small creators with a lot of stories we think that we can tell that people can have fun with, but we don't have the, it's not like we have the Critical Role kind of backing and pulling power, as it were. Even when they started, they were already on Geek and Sundry, so an established community. They're all actors and voice actors and directors and, theater people and all the rest of it. So they already have all the connections, all the production experience and all those kind of things going for them. So it just made that an easy transition for them. And you can see the success they've had as a result, not least of which, of course, talking about their talent and all the rest of it. So we want to just have our own little niche in that space, as it were, and we're just learning valuable lessons about how to approach that. And I think that switching it up to audio because it also takes pressure off us, as you alluded to a bit as well, and technical pressure as well, because we only have to get the audio right, and which is not simple, but it's not 2 or 3 things in parallel. So yeah, hopefully that will work for us in terms of making the production easier, and making the delivery more simpler to kind of channel, centralize, and deliver to people, and get some branding behind it as well with the dinner party, because we need all of those things. All of those things need to fall into place. There are literally millions of podcasts out there, all vying, more or less for the same thing, the ears or the the bit between the ears of everybody. And, you know, let alone even in the fantasy role-playing kind of category, it's huge. So we're just trying to take the time we need in order to work out how to produce this in a way that's comfortable and fun for us to do regularly, reduces the amount of editing and overhead and whatever, and sort of costs, if you will, and people time and real money as well. And then hopefully carry on telling some fun stories together for a long, long time. And making it easier for people to come and find it as well. Because it's, as I said, that's one of the aspects of it. We just don't have that star power or whatever to guarantee that 10,000 people are going to come and listen to it every episode and that kind of thing. Just to put a random number and example on it. So yeah, watch this space. We'll try and get back to it as soon as we can. And we thought we had the schedule down pat, but of course schedules can change and life happens. So we'll see. We'll do our best and hope we can get back to it.
To put it like this, I have so many more stories that I want to involve the party in, because right now, as of the last episode that was released, the party is in basically Valhalla, speaking to the Norse gods, where Ragnar, or Doc, as he's known to us, has his god, which currently is about to have an arm chewed off by a certain wolf. and I probably shouldn't allude to this right now, but so far we've only had the origin story for Damien and for Funkin. We are currently in the middle of the, well, not origin, but hero setup, I don't know what to call it, story of Ragnar, aka Doc. But we still have Lima's left. And after that, that's when I'm kind of planning on bringing you guys back to where it all started, so that we can see this wonderful adventure. But I have more stories. Like I want to do a Pathfinder / Starfinder kind of thing, but have it be kind of Firefly-esque. I want to do a couple of one-shots with stuff like Delta Green, to bring in some horror elements, but have it be slightly modern. So we're not talking Call of Cthulhu, but we're talking the Call of Cthulhu universe. Yeah, there are so many ideas I have of where I want to continue this, and certainly Conquest and Cataclysm needs at least 2 more seasons. At least. So I really want to continue this. I really do. But there's a couple of things standing in our way, and schedule being one of them, but for more reasons than just people's work. We're not going to touch too much on it, but there are a few things making it a bit hard for us to record right now, even though we really want to. We do. But yeah, like we've already said, the removal of the visual element, so that we don't have to think about where we have our cameras, are they synced up, is the graphics working and everything. No, it's just we have a battle map to think about as players, but it's only audio. It's only audio, so that we can talk about, it's a 20, or we can do that. But all of us are experienced enough that explaining something and talking about something and showing in a audio form how we do things and how we fix something or how we solve something, it can definitely continue on and happen. And that's going to be it for Know Your Role, unless you have something else you want to cover, Crumbles?
No.
Okay. We're going to continue on to our community contributions, meaning we are getting towards the end of the podcast. Well, I say that, but there's a lot of community contributions, and I'm so happy to see all of this. Thank you so much, Introvert, Mari, and Tilted. Like, all of you have left wonderful things for us, both on YouTube and Patreon and on our Discords, respectively. So thank you so much for that. But yeah, in the mix of everything that we got from Introvert, he also says, I'm really enjoying the conversations. Even when I'm not sure that they would necessarily apply to me, I appreciate the thought that goes into the how and why. And I really want to say thank you for that kind of comment, because it means we are doing something right with our conversations here. And these sorts of feedbacks are things that we kind of live and breathe. It really does keep our spark going, so to speak. And we're going to continue on with Mari, who said on the YouTube episode of the last... or on the YouTube comments of the last episode, yet another podcast episode that makes my time in the kitchen better. Whee! I know Mari often listens to these when she's cooking or driving, so yeah. But she then wrote on the Discord, good things coming up. Boyfriend visiting in November, much cuddles ahead. I may be biased there, but yes, I'm also looking forward to these things. Little victories for her include stew with Grießnockerl. So much, like, yeah, she lived off that stew for like 3 days. And having had her cooking with Grießnockerl and such, she's good. She's so good. And she says, best part of autumn is stew time. How are you for soups and stews, Grumbles? Are you a soup and stew kind of person?
Funnily enough, I'm not. But my characters often bang on about them being fantastic. So I think they're a huge staple of at least European life and development over centuries. So, yeah, it's weird because I feel like I should be, but somehow they're just not for me. I don't know. I'm more dry food, unless it's porridge. I don't know. There's something about it that I just don't like the textures and things. Possibly force-fed them when I was young and didn't like them or something. I don't know. It'll be something like that.
That'll be something for me too, because like growing up and getting some of these, like Northern Europe, known for its brown food, like it's survival food, like it's nutritious, and sometimes it is very tasty, but it's like it's not good-looking food, you know. It's just meant to be feeding your heart and soul and just making you kind of keep going. That is the purpose of that food. And growing up with some of these just very lack of substance, everything is very just gooey and or easily chewed and such, like, yeah. There's a certain part of me that goes, no, not a fan, even though I know that I like it and I know that it's good. But there has to be a certain substance to stews and soups for me for it to enjoy them, so that they're not just boiled through potatoes that vanish as soon as you look at them. They're not just like a super thin broth soup like that. That's not my thing. Like, it needs to be something there, you know.
Yeah.
But give me a proper whale stew, for instance. So good. So good. Mari does have a question for us, though. She says, the credit card debacle on Steam. What do you two think about that? I'm going to have to say, I'm honestly not sure what the heck she's talking about. I have completely missed something. Are you, like, do you know where this is from?
No, I heard that there was a Steam payment issue, but I chose not to look into it. I
So
just chose to ignore it.
like I'm so sorry to have to kind of just say it didn't bother me, but I like it's something that has passed me by completely. But it sounds like something I probably should have picked up on, being an avid user of Steam and a gamer. Like, so people in the comments, were you affected by this? Like, can you tell us more about this? Like, is there something we should look into further? Please let us know. Please let us know in the comments or in DMs or wherever.
I mean, a quick Google says that there is something in the UK about requirement for credit cards for age verification for accessing mature content due to the UK's Online Safety Act, aka Big Brother, is watching. So it might be related to that. I think there was something else though about money being claimed back, or but so I'm not quite sure which of the two kind of stories. But the less we talk about UK politics, probably the better, because I'll probably burst a blood vessel.
Yeah, all I'm gonna say about any sort of politics, not just UK politics, is if you hide something behind the idea that this is for the good of the children, it's usually for the sake of something much bigger, and it's not really for the children.
Yeah, exactly. It's for control and manipulation. But anyway, yeah. So again, I apologize as well, Mario. I'm just not clued in on that. I do stick my head in the sand with a lot of these things partly because as a creator, there's so much, what do you call it? Like clickbait and exaggeration of stories and that I never even sure half the time if it's a real thing or like, what's the context? Is it really as bad as it is? Or so I just tend to dip my head into the sand and be like, whatever, it'll blow over, or it'll become a real thing, and then we'll be notified through like, I don't know, Steam channels or something.
Yeah, trying to avoid the sensationalist things these days, it's hard because sometimes something pops up and you're like, oh, I'm going to ignore that, and it turns out to be the end of the freaking world, and it's like, oh shit, shouldn't have ignored that. And other times you go for one of those headlines, and then it turns out to be just this absolute crisis maximization just for the sake of sensationalizing it. And yeah, it's hard, and it's starting to happen more and more in the gaming world too. Well, it's been happening for a while, but it's just too much. It's too much sometimes. I started doing days where instead of going on or instead of viewing the news reels and videos on TikTok and Instagram and looking at the newspapers and so on, I go and specifically skip all the videos that has to do with the news in the world, and then I actively cling to and like and share, be that cats or otters or just animals or humans being cool to each other, or dogs being taken to the groomer and having their spa days, just actively going for that, like just like that is the only content I consume, and those days are weirdly enough always so much better. strange
Yeah.
Speaking of strange, Tilted has something for us. And I meant this because Tilted is Danish. He is a bit strange.
Right.
Another bus. Anyway. I'm so sorry. We can start with his little victory and good thing first. His good thing, first and foremost, is now 100% off my ADHD meds, so not exhausted all day anymore. The attention span is back to being measured in seconds, though, and with a goldfish emote. Yeah, I know a lot of people that get exhausted from their meds and have to do it kind of like in waves, but being hit with that kind of instant realization of how affected the attention span is, that's hard. But at the same time, not having a tired and exhausted body and brain all day, there's something that someone said once regarding ADHD medication is that it's not going to be a silver bullet. What it is going to be, however, is help to get the dopamine regulation going, but you still have to have the tools. You still have to have processes and like all of these things in order. So I hope, Tilted, that you feel good about that and that you're able to kick life in the groin and be like, woo, let's do this. And he has a little victory.
Okay.
Saying, my youngest is happy and growing tremendously at his after school kind of club. I don't know what they're called elsewhere, but we have them in Norway too, and in Denmark they're called efterskole, so after school. After having had a tough couple of years with bullying at his old school. That is good news. That is very cool to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Many happy rejoicings for your youngest one. We like this. Because like bullying, never cool. But if you're able to go back to thriving at a different place, yeah, that's good. That means that the trauma or the troubles of the bullying hasn't necessarily been permanent or the biggest issue anymore. And that's good. We like that.
Yeah.
And then his question.
Mm-hmm.
He says, as a relatively recent addition to your communities, I have wondered where your names come from. How did you end up with your current names? And have you had some outrageous or silly names before? Like, I used to call myself Hyppehest, which translates to giddy up horse. That explains some of the names that I've seen from him in games or on Steam and so on. I like it. So what is the origins of Grumbles the Dwarf, and what kind of Grumbles lore can you give us of previous nicknames?
Well, Grumbles the Dwarf was a character. Well, he was a dwarf who didn't go around saying, I am the dwarf. He was one of several. He was a wizard character that I played in D&D when I kind of first started getting into D&D, and found through the magic of Roll20, because there weren't really groups around here, and my workplace wasn't really exactly full of lots of role players and whatever. So I mean, it might have been, but I just didn't know. I played a character called Grumbles, and it was kind of a typical me, kind of a half joke thing of like, well, he's always grumbling and complaining, but he's doing his best, and he's always trying to help people and whatever. So that's kind of where it came from. And I always play my characters with a underlying humor and and an element of self-deprecation, I suppose. So that's where Grumbles comes from. And I just thought, well, you know what, it was really fun playing that character, and it reminds me of really fun couple of D&D campaigns that I was in that went on for quite a while, and that were GM'd by very experienced people and great crews of players as well. And I just met a whole bunch of people and had a whole ton of fun. So it's just a positive memory for me. Occasionally, I have moments where I'm like, well, in hindsight, from a content creation point of view, I would have probably gone with Grumbles rather than Grumbles the Dwarf, just because it eliminates, either kind of lame jokes that come, or just misunderstandings and people not really getting it, and that. And also, I've learned like often shorter names and nicknames work better in the space. But I did look into changing to Grumbles, and the name was reserved already. In the way Twitch is, they're just like, oh well, tough luck. Someone reserved that, and it's like, well, it's not in use anywhere. It's like, doesn't matter. It'll get free at some point eventually, maybe, and you never hear anything back from them. So I might do a change, but I'm also wary of like changing branding sort of midway through things isn't always a good idea either. So yeah, that's where that comes from.
Any other previous iterations that we should be aware of, or
nothing that really springs to mind. Like when I was at school, I had a nickname, and at the time it was one of those quite cool things because we had a system where the teachers would sign their work off with their initials. So I just thought, well, it'd be funny if I just signed up, because we all had to put our names on all of our work. Back in the days when you used to have a pen and paper. So I started signing all my work with my initials, which got me in trouble because they're like, you can't do that. You're not an adult. It's like, you know who it is. I'm the only one doing it. My initials are fairly unique. So the more the teachers pushed back on it, so I then started doing it and drawing like little logos and designing it in that style. I was like, it couldn't be more obvious that that's my work. So they just kind of were like, whatever, and just accepted it. So, and then the funny thing was that when I started work at 16, straight out of school, after a little while, a couple of 3 people or so joined the company I was at, who only, so my initials became like my nickname. And, after a while, people only knew me by that, eventually, for the most part. So it started to become a nickname in the rest of my like working and adult life. And then people would come in to work with us that I'd been to school with, and it was like, oh yeah, we know you, so and so, like that. And they're like, what? Who's this? And like, some people knew me just as my name, and other people. Yeah. So it just became kind of a funny. A long lingering thing that it wasn't really the intention. I only really did it in the first place to try and be funny and tease the teachers. But yeah, there you go.
I like that, because that's how you end up with someone being called JP one place and then they're Jean-Paul a different place, Yeah.
Jean-Paul, who's this JP guy?
Yeah, exactly.
We keep getting mail for this JP guy. Oh, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Oh, thanks, Jean-Paul.
It's spelled Jaype.
Yeah.
Oh, you're supposed to say that JP. Okay, yeah. Sorry. There you
go. You look very hippie. What about you, sir?
Yeah, no, I've been on the internet chronically for many years. There's stuff going back to being on IRC. There's stuff going back to being in World of Warcraft and so on. But my current moniker is, of course, Tiger. But that all started with my tiger tattoo that I have on my arm, where as kind of a jape or a joke, I started introducing myself as TigersDen to people when I met them, and it just kind of stuck. Eventually my friends started calling me Tigan or Tiger, and which is fun because when people try to translate that, it pops up as Hobbs. Because it's written the same way as Tommy and Tegan or Calvin and Hobbes is. So people have been like, your nickname is Hobbes? No, it's Tiger. I'm like, oh, okay. And then when I sat down to stream, I already had a nickname on Justin TV, which got translated to Twitch, of Lucifer 2N, which is an old IRC nickname. And then I was like, well, if I'm actually gonna start being known for something, I might as well try to brand it along something. And I've always loved tigers, which is part of why I have the tattoo. So I thought, let's make the TigersDen. Like, I am Tiger. This is the TigersDen. Yeah, so that's why it's kind of stuck that way. And it's always fun whenever someone calls me Den or Tigers. I'm like, no, I'm one tiger. I'm the tiger. And everybody who is here are tigers. So this is the TigersDen, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a bit like RP buddy Zeus Lair, where his dog is called Zeus and it's Zeus's lair.
yeah.
But then he gets called Zeus all the time. It's like, it's not bad to be called Zeus all the time, I suppose. That's pretty cool. But it's kind of like, you can tell that like he's like, that's not why. But anyway, whatever.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've always kind of wanted to claim the name just Tiger, but I don't think that's ever going to be a thing on Twitch, because that is probably either a protected channel or a protected name for obvious reasons. But yeah, I had that, but a lot of people, like, just before I started doing YouTube and stuff, they knew me as Les, L-E-Z, which is short form for my World of Warcraft character, which is also my Dune character. As far as the Shadow Walker or Shadow Runner, all depending. So yeah, that's that. Or, well, my real name is Thor, and there are multiple variations of that, all depending on how much you've grown up with me. I'm gonna drop some Tiger lore. My full name is Thor Henrik. So Thor Henrik. But because people around here sometimes are lazy, and much to my mother's annoyance, people got my attention by saying Tranrik. It's not Thor Henrik, Tranrik. and that turned into Torshan. And when I worked in Oslo, there was this wonderful Swedish girl. She made her own nickname for it. It was a Torre. Nämen Torre. It was like, why? And she was the only one that could ever be allowed to call me that. And that's how simple that was. And yeah, but ever since I got the tattoo, I've always been Tiger. So that's what people would probably know me most as these days. Yeah. So that's been a bit of lore. Thank you, patrons, for asking us these questions. Thank you to Mari, Finn, Tilted, Lima Zulu Tango, and Introvert for being patrons. And for anyone else who might want to be patrons together with them, you can go to patreon.com/exit2port. And if you pledge $2 a month or equivalent in your own local currency, then we will be forever grateful. Thank you so much for choosing to do that. And I think we're back on a schedule where we are releasing the episode very early to those on Patreon. Like we'll be over a week early with this one, actually. So that's really cool. So yeah. And like I said, I'm hoping to be able to do something special for our patrons, for Christmas/New Year's ish. We'll see. We'll see what time allows for us. And that brings us to the very last segment, called Something to Smile About. Should I start? Do you want to start?
Either way, I'm happy.
Okay. Well, in that case, you start, because I'm curious about potatoes, da?
Okay, so my something to smile about is called potatoes, da. And it is, unsurprisingly, well, for some anyway, I've been part of a few different space engineers groups and role-playing and stuff that kind of kicked off in the beginning of this year with the colony battleground stuff, and has just gone on from there. And as we were talking about the Apex survival update recently, and now there's farming and everything in the base game, you don't need mods for that. There were mods around, but as far as I know, no one had done potatoes. Well, as part of the colony battlegrounds, Ivan got a bit of a reputation and garnered quite a lot of interest and sympathy, and enthusiasm around his potatoes and potato soup, which became one of the little mini sort of tropes, the little funny sidelines in some of those episodes, and also the cultural exchange, which is what he calls sharing a really typically bad pun laden joke with people. So we do this kind of quite often, but especially in those kind of settings. And from time to time, over a few months, people have popped in and then come along and said, "Oh, were you playing Ivan in the Colony Battlegrounds? Oh, I really enjoyed that character." And other people come in and they're just like, "Potatoes, duh. Have you got the potato soup?" and stuff like this. And it's just like randomly just trundled along, bit by bit over time, until I got a ping the other day from Aegir, who Aegir Builds and Beats on YouTube, who's another creator in the space engineers and music space. And he has put together a food mod to go with the new Apex update. And it's called Potato, and then like Roman numeral 6-X, Fuel the Future, Sustain the Legend. And he's put loads of like lore and RP stuff in there. And the initial drop of it had a few different potato like beverages. There's a pure vodka one and some basic meals and things. And then he DM'd me the other day, and I was completely humbled and taken aback. And he said, "I've been thinking of putting in Ivan's soup into my mod. What do you reckon?" So I introduced to you. It's called a meal pack. That's the terminology in the game, and in brackets it says the unique name, and it's called Ivan's potage da. So playing on the old European, like before the word soup, you had potage for a very thick soup typically. And it's very filling, gives you 80% filling. It needs 3 potatoes, 1 mammal meat, and 1 grain to make it's a very filling meal that builds you up slowly over time. And it has this lore text that he came up with this based on a little DM back and forth that we had. It says, Ivan Ivanovar's famous Barovian potage, a steaming, fragrant bowl of hearty potatoes, savory meat, and local wild herbs. This is more than just a meal, it's a cultural exchange. Guaranteed to bring happiness to your heart and stomach, the perfect antidote to long, dreadful haul through the cosmos. Duh.
Amazing.
So that's just one meal of several that you can make with that mod. And obviously it's now loaded up into all my saves and will be a feature presentation going forward. So thanks to Aegir for that. It's awesome.
That is amazing. I love that.
I got one side anecdote before the whole thing of me getting Ivan's meal in there, which I had no clue about. On the day that was released, a couple of my friends, Fallen Angel and Foxy from our Rift series, were sort of trying to DM Sarek, the creative director, in the background, saying, "Oh, can we sneak the potato mod into the save without telling Grumbles out, so that Ivan gets like a 'what, there's potatoes here' kind of moment like that." And so they told me the other day, I was talking to Foxy, she's like, "Oh, we were going to try and sneak this in, but we figured you'd work it out eventually." And I was like, well, I had no choice really, because the minute the mod got released in the first version without Ivan's soup in it, Beeble already pinged me like overnight that night saying, "Have you seen this as a potato mod? Aegir's just made this potato mod. You got to see this." So it didn't take long for all the excitement to build.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that is wonderful. I love when that happens. It's good. We like this.
Mm-hmm.
More potatoes. Speaking of potatoes, I was hanging out the other day in a channel and just sharing silly jokes as I was going about. And for those of you who are familiar with how we do things in the Grumbling, we usually raid out to the same person, and one of the standing jokes or tropes, if you want to call it that, is that as soon as I see Grumbles in the raids or where we raided over, I usually go, a totally unexpected dwarf.
Yep.
So my moment for something to smile at is actually unexpected dwarf. So like I said, I was hanging out in the channel, telling a joke, and the joke was very simple. It was, what's the brass band's favorite snack? Well, it's a tube of Pringles, of course. The creator laughed, and then suddenly I see Grumbles pop up in chat and say, oh yeah, it was Sherry kind, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Sherry. And Grumble says, oh wow, a wild tiger. And I was like, an actually unexpected dwarf. What the heck? Because I wasn't expecting you to be there. It was so good.
Yeah.
And I think you'd just gotten back from the grocery store or something. Like,
Yeah, I had, and then I just popped on to see. Oh, I wonder who's around. I can pop in and say hello while I've got 5 minutes. And then Sherry was just going to actually finish their stream, and you know, like what her and Maximus, her partner, put out there. It's very chilled stuff and RimWorld, and lots of just good humor and good fun. And then yeah, so I was just literally typing a line of like, oh, I've just only just tuned in. I've been lurking, but you know, I think she was feeling unwell or whatever. So I was like, I hope you feel better quickly. You know, good vibes. And next thing you know, you were there. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
there you go.
Because part of what I said was found you via Grumbles. Tiny joke for you as you head out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we almost typed almost at exactly the same moment. It was like, huh? Because then you were mentioning me, and I was like, huh? This is weird timing. Yeah, it did make me smile too.
That gave me an actual smile. It was fabulous.
Yeah. And the thing is, you know that Sherry was laughing and smiling as well. So it was like everybody got a smile out of it.
The objective has been completed. That was our mission. And our mission right now is to say thank you to all of you for listening to what we do here. Please keep the comments, the questions, the little victories, the something to smile about. Please keep sharing them. We are trying to be a force for good. We're trying to be a force for information in our own little bubble. Some people might say that there are too many white men with podcasts. Well, I will agree, but being one of them, I also feel that being able to shed light on what goes on in our communities is maybe more the thing we're trying to achieve here, rather than fame and celebrity status. Without further ado, it's going to be a goodbye from me and a goodbye from Grumbles.
Good vibes, everyone.
We will exit the port in the next one. Goodbye.